Hi everybody, this is Jason Lawrence and you're watching another episode of Home Building Knowledge. If you like this video or some of the videos that I do, share this with your friends or somebody that may be starting or going through the building experience or buying a new home or whatever they got going on. I'd really appreciate that. Today we're going to talk about the heart of the home. And most people think the heart of the home is the kitchen, and it is. It is. On the main level of the house, the kitchen is the heart of the home. But if you think of the home as a human body, you've got your heart, which, not sure, can't remember what side it was on from school, but you got your heart, you've got your veins. The heart is what keeps the body going. Just like the furnace and the ductwork. Furnace is the heart. The ductwork are like the veins. Sorry, that might be a stupid analogy, but anyways, we're going to talk about furnaces today. If you're building a house or buying a house that you need to put a furnace into, or you're living in a home that needs a new furnace, there's some different options. Your standard furnace is a furnace that once it kicks on, so say the thermostat is set to 70 degrees and the temperature drops down to 69 degrees, the furnace kicks on. And the furnace has a fan inside of the furnace that blows the heat through the ducts. So when your furnace turns on, the fan turns on high speed. You can hear it when you're upstairs. You get that initial crank of the fan. It starts dispersing heat throughout the house, gets the house warmed up. And then as soon as the temperature is back up to 70, the furnace will shut off. And then 15 minutes later, when the temperature falls back down to 69, the furnace comes on and the fan kicks on high speed again, distributes heat throughout the house, and rinse and repeat, so on and so forth. I see I have one viewer right now. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to type it into the comments box and I'll look for it and answer it. Today we're talking about furnaces and what type of furnace you should put in your home. The furnace in this house is one step above, actually it's two steps above the quote-unquote builder grade furnace. So most of the time when you're building a home, there's a base price for a home and there's certain things that are included with the home. Well, the furnace that's included with the home is going to be kind of the starting point furnace. It's sufficient to heat your home, but it's not the most energy efficient furnace that's out there. There are other furnaces that are out there that are not only more energy efficient, but they keep the house more of at a constant temperature, so it keeps the house a little more comfortable. This furnace here is what's called a variable speed furnace. So what happens with this furnace is there's a fan inside this furnace just like your normal furnace is, but with this fan it actually runs more than the fan in a standard furnace does. So it runs at a lower speed and it keeps air moving throughout the house almost at all times. And so what that does is it keeps more of a constant temperature. If your thermostat, we'll go back to that, if the thermostat's set at 70 and then the temperature drops down to 69 degrees, the fan on this furnace will turn on, but it'll just turn on a lower speed. It doesn't need to come on full speed and push a bunch of heat out because you're only 1 degree below what the thermostat temperature is set at. So this type of furnace, even though the fan is running more often than a standard furnace, with that fan running at a lower speed more often, it uses less electricity by doing that. So you're actually going to get lower energy bills. You're going to use less gas and less electric with a furnace like this. The other thing that this furnace offers over a standard furnace, we'll go back to the standard furnace when the thermostat calls for the heat to kick on. Boom, the fan turns on high speed. The other thing that's happening is there's gas that's being sprayed into the furnace, and that's where the heat is coming from. With the furnace like this, Again, if the temperature falls from 70 to 69, the fan will turn on and it'll run at a light, slower speed, and also the amount of gas that's being put into the furnace is modulated as well. So if the temperature falls from 70 to 69, you don't need a ton of gas being put into the furnace. You don't need the fan kicking on high speed. You need a little bit of gas into the furnace and a little bit of fan speed to bring it back up to temperature. So you're going to use less gas and less electric by doing that. So to go from your standard furnace with one fan speed and one spray of gas coming into the furnace to something like this is only a difference of, we'll say, $1,100 to $1,300. Now, if you're living in your house for 5 years or more, and maybe it's even a little bit less than 5 years, that $1,300 that you spent to upgrade your furnace, you're going to get that paid back to you by what you're saving on your energy bills. So a furnace, air conditioner, any upgrades that you do to your furnace or your air conditioner, you're going to get paid back on. Same with the insulation of the house. If you go from a normal batt of insulation in the wall to maybe spray foaming the perimeter of the stud cavities and then doing blown-in batts in each stud cavity, that is probably going to be, $2,000 more than a batt of insulation in the wall. But again, you're going to save that on your energy bills and make that up in a matter of a few years. So going back to the furnace, you can see the furnace doesn't actually look any different than a standard furnace would. But it has that fan that runs at different speeds. And the other thing it does besides saving gas and electric, it keeps the house a lot more comfortable. So with air constantly moving in the house, it doesn't go from 70 degrees down to 69 and you get a little bit cold, and then the heat turns back up and then it's warm, and then it drops down to 69 and you get a little bit cold. This keeps the house at more of a constant temperature. So that's the other added bonus to it. One of the other things that you can do with the furnace, you can see that this is a little bit of a wider filter than your standard 1-inch filter that you have to pull out and replace once a month. And if you don't know that, that is something you should be doing, is replacing that furnace filter once a month. If you let it go for a few months and you take it out, you can see how dirty it is. And any dust or allergens that are getting trapped inside of there are now going to get dispersed throughout your heat duct. So you want to make sure to replace that furnace filter at least once a month. This furnace filter here, this is the cover for it, that pops off, and it's actually like a 5-inch wide furnace filter, and it only has to be replaced once a year. The other nice thing about it is it catches a lot more of the smaller allergens and dust mites. If you have a dog or a cat, pet dander is something that you don't want floating around the house. So if you do a filter like this, that eliminates most of that. And if you're building a house or putting in a new furnace, this is probably $450 more to do this setup on your furnace. It's well worth it. It just keeps a cleaner quality of air. You don't have to replace the filter as often. I know when I had my standard furnace filter in the furnace, I never remembered to change it once a month. I'm in the home building industry and I probably did it every 6 months. This, you can write the date, I changed it April 1st of 2015. Now 2016, April 1st, I can go ahead and change it out again. Another contraption that you'll sometimes see on the sides of the furnace, and it's usually on the side of this ductwork here that runs into the furnace, is going to be humidistat, or humidifier, I should say. April air is a common term for it. But that is actually a contraption that allows moisture into the furnace, so when heat is being blown out of the furnace, you're actually getting some moisture in the air as well. In the wintertime, it's nice to have something like that. The air gets pretty dry and your nose can get dried out and hands. It's nice if you have a humidifier on the furnace, and a lot of them these days are, you know, it can adjust automatically based upon the outside temperature. So once winter comes and it gets colder outside, it will automatically adjust and start putting out a little more humid air. Now, one thing, when you're building a home, everybody's got a budget, and say that's one of those things that you just can't afford to put in right away. Fear not, when you're building a house, you probably have at least 2 years before everything in the house dries out. So we're down here in the basement. Your basement walls, your basement floors are concrete. So one of the major ingredients in concrete is water. It takes quite a while for the walls and even 2x4s and all the other building materials in the house, they all have moisture in it. So it takes a while for everything to completely dry out. So most of the time you're going to have a dehumidifier running in the basement, and you don't need that humidifier. Maybe a couple of years after you're in the house, you could put one in. And it's, to my knowledge, I don't think it's going to really cost that much more to have one put in 2 years after you build, as opposed to having it put in right when you build from the start. So that's, I think, everything that you know, would be different between a standard furnace and the upgraded variable speed furnace. I put one in my home when I built because I know that I was going to be there for more than 5 years, and I know I'm going to get paid back on the amount of energy that I save when it comes to gas and electric. Not only that, but I just like the fact that it keeps the house more comfortable. In addition to the furnace, there's different types of thermostats that you can do now. So this is a Lennox furnace. Lennox has what's called their iComfort thermostat. It's pretty cool. It looks like a iPad that sits on the wall, and it tells you what the weather's like outside, and you can set customized programs for your furnace. So in the springtime, you can have your temperature set one way. In the winter, they can be set another. In the summer, it can be set another way. You can access this from your phone. So say you go out of town on vacation, and right before you hop on the plane to come back home, or right before you hop in your car to come back home, you can turn the furnace heat back up to 70 degrees as opposed to the 55 degrees that you set it at before you left. So there's some cool features there with it. It'll actually tell you the humidity level in your house as well. It'll tell you if there's problems with the furnace. Maybe there's an issue with you know, the pilot not firing correctly. It'll actually tell you on the thermostat, and you can contact your HVAC company and tell them what the exact code is that comes up on there. That way when they come to diagnose the furnace, they already know what's wrong with it. So it saves you that. Most HVAC companies, if you have a problem with the furnace and you have them come out, they charge an amount just to come out and diagnose the problem. In this case, you already know what the problem is, so you can bypass that whole step. So that's about it for this episode of Home Building Knowledge. If you have any questions, fire them away. If you don't speak now, you can come back and leave a comment, or if you're watching this video after it goes live, leave me a comment in the comment section about anything I talked about in this video, or anything that pertains to home building, buying a home, selling a home, anything homes. I can hopefully help you out with your questions. Again, share this video with some of your friends, work colleagues, somebody that is going to be buying a house or maybe building a house. Go ahead and share this video with them. And you can also check out my website, homebuildingknowledge.com. I'm working on putting all of these videos on the site so that they're all in one place. And you could sit down for a Saturday night, you and the wife, have a bowl of popcorn and watch all my videos. Yeah, right. I'm sure that's not going to happen. I'm not that interesting. The videos are probably not as good as the newest show on Netflix that I'll be watching tonight. But again, sorry, starting to ramble. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks for joining me, and take care.